I want to go to Ronald Reagan's former National Security Advisor, Bud McFarlane. Bud, you know, a lot of pressure now on the United States to deliver on the threats. It did so in Syria with this Tomahawk missile strike. Now something is expected on the North Korean front. What do you expect?
Well, I think what we did in Syria was entirely appropriate, and it's kind of outrageous. The Russian response really appears to ignore that the use of weapons of mass destruction, as Syria has done, has to be countered, as we did appropriately. As for North Korea, similarly here, Neil, we've been going through kind of the methodical steps that every civilized nation has to go through for the past 25 years, trying to gradually coerce North Korea to behave itself. It hasn't worked. And currently in the United States, it's become really an area of bipartisan agreement. We have people with experience like Senator Sam Nunn, Democrat, others, Admiral Mike Mullen, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, writing papers that say this has not worked, what we've tried in the past. We have to get a little bit more firm, perhaps a lot more firm. I expect the President and the Joint Chiefs have already been addressing what our options are there. You've seen some of them, the deployment of the THAAD missile in South Korea. But in short, there's a new government in town here. It's going to be a little bit more firm in asserting our interests and defending that of our allies.
You know, we are going to go to Jeff Sessions, who's on the border right now in Mexico, but I mention it before we dip into him. The idea that this is an administration that changed expectations and tough talk and delivering tough results, and that this will translate into everything we do with the Mexicans on this wall thing, with the North Koreans, as you outlined, Bud, on countering their nuclear technology, and certainly with the Russians and the Syrians there. Does it up the pressure on those who take us lightly that wait a minute, the Americans are quite serious about this stuff?
Well, clearly it ought to, and I believe it does. I think the meetings you've seen here in Washington in the last couple of weeks, both with Saudi Arabia and the President of Egypt and the King of Jordan, are setting a new tone and a very evident willingness of the Trump administration to engage with allies, to people with whom President Roosevelt, going back 72 years, made a pledge to secure the region, that we're going to go back to upholding commitments we've made. So yes, I'm sure the plans are being dusted off for what our options are, both in North Korea and for the broader menace that is looking at us in the Middle East. And it's not just in Syria. It is the broader, more fundamental threat being waged all across North Africa and the Middle East by Al-Qaeda, a name that seldom gets in the news nowadays, but has established a more pernicious and serious threat than ISIS itself. There are a lot of challenges out there, but I think our government is finally awakening to the need to begin to deal with these things.